second graders. We're going to do a math lesson together today, and it's from Module 7. It's the next lesson in your booklets. It's Lesson 16, and our learning target today, we're going to measure objects, and we're going to use 3 different units. So you used inches on the lesson before, but now I'm going to show you a couple different units to measure with. We're going to be using inches, we're going to be using feet, and we're going to be using yards. So there's some different tools that you can use for measurement today, right? So if you can see, I've got kind of one of these measuring tapes. So if your parents have one of these that have inches on them, you can use one of those. You can use a handy dandy ruler, right? Either an actual ruler or a paper ruler, right? And then you could use one of these measuring sticks as well, as long as they have inches on them, right? So when you talked yesterday about inches, right? Inches are about the size of your thumb, right? Or you could put 2 of your fingers together and that's about the size of an inch. If you look on a ruler, right, make sure you're on the inches side, right? 1 inch goes from 0 to the 1. So that is one of the units of measurement that we're going to be using. It's a small unit of measurement, so it's used to measure relatively small objects. Feet and yards are a little bit bigger. So the first thing I want you to do, if you haven't done it already, you're going to need your Lesson 16 recording sheet. Looks kind of like this. That's the one we're going to use to work through some of the problems together. And then the first thing you're going to do is whoever's in your house, right? You, whoever else is there, you're going to measure their shin. That is what this top part is right here. So you're going to put their name. If you're measuring yourself first, put your name there. And then you're going to measure the length of their shin. And we're going to use inches. So you're going to measure from the knee down to the ankle. So you're going to line up the ruler, as you can see on the little picture here. Measure from the bottom of the knee to the top of the ankle, and then I want you to record it in your table here. And make sure you're writing down inches afterwards, or you can shorten it IN, okay? So while you measure people in your house, why don't you pause the video for a second so you can do that, and then we're going to start working on the next one when you are finished, okay? Okay. The second portion of your recording sheet, we're going to actually measure some things together. So let me read the directions and you can follow along. It says, fill in your estimate for each object using the words more than, less than, or about the same length. Then measure each object with a yardstick. You can still use a ruler if that's all you have, and record the measurement on the chart. So before we do that, we've got to talk a little bit about these new units of measurement, right? You guys know what inches are. We talked about that, okay? Then the next unit of measurement we want to talk about is feet. So if you have a ruler, you're in luck. The size of a ruler is a 1 foot, okay? So that would be the same as 12 inches. So if you have a ruler, you have a measurement tool that can measure what we call feet. So if you're measuring something that is this wide, it is 1 foot big. So we've got inches, right, which are small. Then we've got feet, which are medium. And then our big one is yards. So if you do have one of these sticks, this is a yardstick, okay? So a yardstick is 36 inches. If you guys reach your hands out about this far, right, kind of extend your arms, that's about a yard. Or if you have a yardstick, measuring tape, or a tape measure, you can look for where it says 36 inches. That is 1 yard. So we've got inches, right, which are little. We've got feet, which are medium. And then we've got yards, which are bigger. So we're going to try to fill in these sentences. Remember, we can use less than or smaller than, right? Greater than the yardstick, or about the same. So we're going to take some guesses here. First one is a book. So I will use Guinea Dog that I've been reading, right? You can grab any chapter book or any book you have at home and let's kind of look at it, right? So the length of a book, that means a long way. You think that's going to be bigger, more than a yardstick, smaller than a yardstick, or about the same? Remember, yards are big, right? So the length of your book should be less than the yardstick. So please fill that in onto the bottom part of your paper. The length of a book is less than the yardstick. It's pretty small, right? Okay, second one, the height of a door. So look somewhere in your house where you can see a doorway. okay? And when you're measuring height, that's how tall it is. So do you think that height of your doorway is going to be less than a yardstick? Is that going to be more than a yardstick or greater? Or is it about the same as a yardstick? Here's your yardstick, right? What do you think? Hopefully you're thinking that the height of a door is greater than a yardstick, right? If our door was only this tall, would we be able to walk through it? Probably not, right? So we will fill in greater than. Good. The height of a door is greater than the yardstick. Now the last one, you got to think a little bit, right? Because we don't actually have a desk that we could measure unless you have a small student desk. We're thinking about desks like we sit in at school. So the length of a desk, so that means the long way. The length of your desk. Do you think that's going to be less than a yardstick? Greater than a yardstick? Or about the same length as a yardstick? What do you think? Think about the desk you sit at school. Hopefully you're thinking that it's a little bit less than a yardstick, right? Good. Now we're going to actually do some measuring. So grab your ruler. If you got a tape measure or something else, grab that too. First thing we're going to measure is a book. So what do you think we should measure the book in? Should we measure it in inches, in feet, or in yards? Our guinea dog book. What do you think? Hopefully you're thinking inches, right? Can't measure it in feet, right? The book is too small. Definitely can't measure it in yards because the book is too small. So now I want you to take a second and I want you to line up your ruler. Make sure the 0 is on the edge. And see how big your book is. Mine is between 7 and 8 inches. Okay, it's kind of right in the middle. So I'm going to go 7 to 8, and I'm going to go IN period. That stands for inches. You can fill that in, or if your book is a little bit different size, go ahead and fill that in on your paper as well. All right, now we're going to measure a doorway. Now, should we measure a doorway using little inches? Probably not. Do you think we should measure the height of a doorway using feet? We could, but we still might be here a while, right? I'm thinking that we're going to want to use a yard, okay? So if you have a yardstick, you can use that, okay? The height of a door is usually about, 7 feet or 2 yards, okay? So I'm going to write down that it's about 2 to 3 yards tall in my table here. Okay? Now we don't have a desk to measure, but guess what? I've done this before, so I know how big a desk is. Now I want you to think and kind of estimate. First, should we measure our desk using inches, do you think? Probably not, right? What about feet? That might be a good use, right? So imagine, how many rulers do you think, how many feet could fit across your desk at school? Are you thinking maybe around 2 feet? Okay. Perfect. Now there's a little story problem at the bottom of your page here. Okay? And let's see if we can figure that out. Here's what it says. We're all the way at the bottom. What is the length of 4 student desks pushed together with no gaps in between? Use the RDW thing. Do you remember what that means? RDW. Read, draw, write. Use that process to solve, okay? You probably have some room, maybe right down here. I'm going to solve it right on the side. So let's think. Let's draw a picture. It said 4 desks, right? So let's draw 4 desks that are lined up together. We'll go 4. There's no gaps, so they got to be right next to each other. Think like you're drawing kind of like an array. 1, 2, 3. There's my 4 desks, okay? And we measured the desks. We said they were 2 feet. So I'm going to put a little 2 on this one. So how big is this one going to be? 2. And the next one? 2. And the last one? 2. Now, do you think you can find the total? Right? Can you find the total length of those 4 desks? You already got your answer? If we do 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, right? What do we get? 8. Now, make sure. We don't want to just say 8. We want to make sure we have our unit, because 8 could mean anything, right? It could mean 8 cows, right? But we're talking about feet. So 4 desks put together would be 8 feet long. All right. If you need to pause the video and catch up, go ahead. But we are going to flip it over, and I'm going to give you some directions for part 3. And then you're going to probably want to pause the video so you can actually do these. It says, name 4 objects in the classroom. Well, it's going to have to be in your home, right? So name 4 objects in your home, and you're going to write them in the table. 1, 2, 3, 4 different things. And then circle which unit you would use to measure each item, and record the measurement in the chart. So you want to pick 4 objects, and then you have to decide. Would it be best to measure them in inches? Would it be best to measure them in feet? Or would it be best to measure them big in yards, like you're measuring something really big? So write down your 4 objects, okay? Then you're going to circle which unit you should measure it in, inches, feet, or yards, and then you're actually going to take your ruler and you're going to measure those objects, okay? So pause the video, work on that chart, and then we are going to start the last little part of this recording sheet, okay? Last one. Look around the room to find 2 or 3 objects for each benchmark length. Write each object in the chart and record the length. So we're going to just brainstorm some different objects that you might have in your home, or just things you can think of in the classroom, outside, whatever you want, that are about these 3 different sizes. So we're going to start small. We're going to start objects that are only 1 inch big. So think, what are some objects that are 1 inch big? I'll give you one that I thought of right away. In our classroom, right? We had those erasers in our table caddies, right? Now look around your house, and I want you to list 2 more things. So now you're going to have 3. 3 things for the inches. Okay? Now we're going to think. We're looking at a foot. 12 inches, 1 foot. We're going to think about something that's about the size of this ruler. And I've got an idea already. That math piece of paper you're working on, if we do it the long way, it's about a foot. A little bit less, but it's pretty close, right? We're estimating. So we're going to do a piece of paper. And I'm going to put this little L here. That means I'm talking about the length of the paper. Now I want you to think of 2 more objects that are 1 foot, and I want you to record them down on your table. Okay? All right, last we got to think of is think big. Now we're talking about 1 yard, which is the size of my yardstick here. This is Adam Mitch's yardstick. You can think about it as 3 rulers side by side, or 36 inches. What would be 36 inches? And I've got one for you. So like a door in your classroom, and we're talking about the width. Okay, so this way across your door. And I want you to think of 2 more things that you can think of. Look around your house. You might have to get up a little bit. 2 more objects that are about 1 yard big. 1 yard big. If you need to pause the video, go ahead. If not, I'm going to give you your last little set of directions on the bottom portion. So once you have your objects listed, remember we did the first 3 together. You should have eraser, paper, and a door. Okay? Now you're actually going to go and you're going to measure those objects. And if you can see, they're all in inches. Okay? So you're going to measure them all in inches. Whatever objects you have, and you're going to record that down. All right, pause the video. Go ahead and record all of your measurements. Okay. All right. So just a quick little review before I set you loose on working on the homework page here. So we learned 3 units today. 1 you learned before with the other math lesson, which are inches, right? Inches are small. They are used to measure small objects. Okay, 1 inch. Then our medium unit, we've got feet. Imagine and think about the size of your ruler. That is 1 foot, which is the same as 12 inches. And then our big one were yards, right? Yardstick. As far as your arms can reach, probably, right? That is 1 yard big, or 36 inches. So what you're going to work on next, you've got two little things to do. One is your lesson 16 homework page, okay? So you're going to read the directions and you're going to complete both sides, okay? Second thing you're going to do is on our Google Classroom, and it's kind of a fun activity, okay? It's like a little scavenger hunt. So you have different measurements that you have to find objects that fit them. So it might say, find an object that is 7 inches. So you're gonna have to investigate. You're gonna have to go around your house, go outside, take your ruler with you, okay? And you're going to find objects that are the correct lengths. Then you're gonna get to pick 3 objects and you're going to measure those. All right, so remember our 3 units, inches, feet, and yards, right? Inches are little, feet medium, yards are big, okay? Have fun measuring. I'll see you guys next time.